Good morning, Irfan sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to Sri Krishna PO and Degree College.
Thank you, Mr. Sushada. How are you?
Fine.
It has been a long time.
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate for inviting me for this talk.
Thank you.
Okay. Is my audio clear?
Yeah. We'll start in another 1 minute.
Okay, there's no rush. No rush.
Okay. Lakshmi, Pooja, Pallavi, we have given the instruction to switch on your videos.
Mute madi, students mute madi.
Students should mute yourself, switch on the video, ma. Switch it on. We cannot give you the instructions. Okay, Madam Nagmani, Madam.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session, the World Environment Day. I am Nagamani B, Department of Commerce, Sri Krishna PO and Degree College. Earth is our mother. In spite of our mother, she will always love us forever. We are pleased to inform you that World Environment Day is celebrating on June 5th. Today, we, Sri Krishna PO and Degree College, organizing, has grown to become a global platform for public outreach that is widely celebrated across the globe. World Environment Day is celebrated around the world to take ownership of their environment. The main aim of efficient and effective use of technologies for environment.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಇದೆ, ನೀವೇ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
Okay. Okay, Amar. Just a minute. I'll be ready. Good morning, dear students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Are you audible? Okay.
Yeah,
you are audible to me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you all know that today is today is celebrated as a World Environmental Day. Okay. So we are very, very, very lucky to celebrate this World Environment Day on June 5th every year. Okay. So we are pleased to inform you that the World Environment Day is celebrated on June 5th. The World Environment Day 2021, our college, Sri Krishna PO and Degree College, Mantapa, Jigani Road, is organizing. The major component of the celebration is the webinar. The webinar will take place. See, we are celebrating this webinar. What is the reason behind of this webinar is, so most of you are learning environmental science in our degree. So we only keep on talk about environment as a curriculum activity. We never bothered about the conservation as well as the preservation of our environment for future generation. Just we only study for the sake of a marks. Okay. So what our college intention is, instead of studying as a part of a curriculum, okay, we want you to be as a part of the environment conservation activity as well as you should know the importance of the environment. We don't want you to restrict yourself only for today. That is, okay, we'll celebrate the World Environment Day on 5th of June every year as a program. No, we don't want that one. We want you to celebrate Environmental Day as a everyday activity. Morning, as soon as you get up till you sleep, you have to conserve the nature for the future generation as well as for your sustainability. Here the question is, you also should sustain on this earth because you should live. So when the concept of sustainability comes, so instead of celebrating only on June 5th, first of all, you should know what is the importance of the environment. Okay, what is the conservation, how we have to conserve our environment. So for that purpose, we, Sri Krishna PU and Degree College, we requested our chief guest, okay, so to speak few words about the environment and the protection and the conservation. So, and you youngsters, who are all at the age of, between the age of 17 years to 21 years, you are the one who are going to face the society in the future, and you are the one who are the pillars of the society. So if you know about the importance of the environment and conservation, so then our nature will be protected. That is why we have organized this webinar. So it's a very great privilege and great honor to invite our guest for this program. Okay, so the program session will be started with the invocation song as usual. The invocation will be, song will be by Mr. Kamaluddin of the final year of our college. So Kamaluddin, over to you.
Okay. Good morning, one and all. I am Kamaluddin from final year BCom.
Good morning, Kamaluddin.
ಯೋಗದ ಸಿರಿ ಬೆಳಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಗೆಯತೆನೆ ಬಳುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹ್ಯಾದ್ರಿಯ ಲೋಹದ ಉತ್ತುಂಗತ ನಿಲುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯ ಹರಿದ್ವರ್ಣವನದ ತೇಗ ಗಂಧ ತರುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ. ಯೋಗದ ಸಿರಿ ಬೆಳಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಗೆಯತೆನೆ ಬಳುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹ್ಯಾದ್ರಿಯ ಲೋಹದಿರ ಉತ್ತುಂಗತ ನಿಲುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹರಿದ್ವರ್ಣವನದ ತೇಗ ಗಂಧ ತರುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ. ಇತಿಹಾಸದ ಹಿಮದಲ್ಲಿನ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನ ಮಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗತ ಸಾಹಸ ಸಾರುತ್ತಿರುವ ಶಾಸನಗಳ ಸಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇತಿಹಾಸದ ಹಿಮದಲ್ಲಿನ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನ ಮಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಹಸ ಸಾರುತ್ತಿರುವ ಶಾಸನಗಳ ಸಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಓಲೆಗರಿಯ ಸಿರಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ದೇಗುಲಗಳ ಬಿತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ. ಫಲವೆನ್ನದ ಹಿರಿಮೆಯೇ ಕುಲವೆನ್ನದ ಗರಿಮೆಯೇ ಸದ್ವಿಕಾಸಶೀಲ ನುಡಿಯ ಲೋಕಾಮೃತ ಸೀಮೆಯೇ ಹಲವೆನ್ನದ ಹಿರಿಮೆಯೇ ಕುಲವೆನ್ನದ ಗರಿಮೆಯೇ ಸದ್ವಿಕಾಸಶೀಲ ನುಡಿಯ ಲೋಕಾಮೃತ ಸೀಮೆಯೇ ಈ ವತ್ಸರ ನಿರ್ಮತ್ಸರ ಮನವುದಾರಮೇ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ಯೋಗದ ಸಿರಿ ಬೆಳಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಗೆಯ ತೆನೆ ಬಳುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಹ್ಯಾದ್ರಿಯ ಲೋಹದ ದಿರ ಉತ್ತುಂಗ ಕನಿಲುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿತ್ಯ ಹರಿದ್ವರ್ಣವನದ ಬೇಗ ಗಂಧ ತರುಗಳು ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ನಿನಗೆ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ತಾಯಿ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ.
Thank you, Kamaluddin. So now we would like to invite our chairman, Dr. Hari Kumar, to speak about our speaker, Mr. Irfan.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Firstly, I wish you all a happy and action-oriented Environment Day. You know what is action-oriented? So that my beloved friend Irfan is going to explain you all, so you will understand. You know, today is we have a special guest who is a great thinker, and you know, he is a good friend of mine from childhood. He is residing in Australia, Sydney, and he is going to share his vast knowledge in terms of you know, few aspects, particularly Environmental Day. So I would like to welcome him for this interactive session, and I expect that you all will be more interactive and highly productive webinar and make utilize of this valuable hour and get, you know, as much as more information from him. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now we would like to invite Mr. Lakshmipati to give a brief introduction about our chief guest, Mr. Irfan. Lakshmipati, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lakshmipati S, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce. It's a great pleasure to introduce Mr. GM Irfan to the session. Mr. Irfan was born in an educated middle-class family. His father was a central government employee and mother was a homemaker. He was always found to be an intelligent boy and all his teachers used to admire him. His whole education was completed in government schools and colleges, except post-graduation. He used to be a bright student at all times. After completion of post-graduation diploma in medical laboratory from St. John's, Bangalore, he started his career with teaching profession in Bangalore. Later, he shifted to his own domain and worked 2 years in Elibet laboratory. Later, he moved to Saudi Arabia after receiving a good opportunity. After working in Saudi government hospital, he moved to Australia and became a citizen of Australia. Since from 18 years, he has been living in Sydney with his wife and 2 children. He has a vast knowledge of technical arena. He has been working as a medical scientist in Sydney, involved in number of society upliftment programs. Last but not the least, he is a beloved childhood friend of our chairman, Dr. Hari Kumar sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. Now behalf of ASKC Sri Krishna PO Degree College Management, I would like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Irfan, to share his vast knowledge as well as information with the students. Over to you, sir.
A very good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me. This is Yashoda Kumar, and my very dear friend, Mr. Hari Kumar, who is the chairman. Really appreciate, and to the entire team, students, and the staff, and also for a very nice introductory welcome song by Kamaluddin. I really appreciate. It's a very pleasure, and indeed, I'm so happy to see all of you on a fine Saturday morning. The main credit to begin with should go to Mrs. Yashoda Hari Kumar and Mr. Hari Kumar for organizing this event, because in general we have always been so complacent and we have taken this, our Mother Earth, planet Earth, for granted. And this is not about comparison, or this is not about Australia or India or the government policies or whatever has happened. This is an issue which we had ignored, which we had taken so lightly, and we are paying the price now very heavily. Okay, let us not go into much detail. Whatever has happened, but you are the generation who will be responsible for rescuing this planet Earth. And a great deal of responsibility falls on you because you are the young generation. I must say, for taking this opportunity, that we are really sorry. Myself, my family, and all of us, all elders, we are sorry because we left you in this mess because we were not aware. But at least 5th of June being World Environment Day, it is not about celebration. It's not only about celebration, it is also about awareness. And it clearly says it is a United Nations led initiative wherein we take something called as ownership, that is responsibility. We have to take the accountability for our actions. That's the primary thing here. We need to acknowledge that yes, we have messed up. Now what is the next step? Whatever happened has happened. Okay, it can't be reversed now. But if you can just think, because you are all in lockdown there at the moment, and if you reflect, what went wrong? What could have been done? Why did we land up in this mess? Okay, this is going to end. This pandemic will definitely subside. You will come out. And we all know by common sense that it's going to be a totally different world. It's not the same world pre-COVID. It's going to be an entirely different world once you come out. Now that once we come out of this pandemic, once we start moving around, once we start getting along with our life, we shouldn't forget that the price we have paid. And we should think that okay, what I'm going to do now? Okay, what should I do now so that I don't land up in this mess again? Neither do my generation, which is following me, would end up paying the price like how I have paid the price. This is the thing which we have to really think about. So this is a time for us to sit down and reflect. Where did we go wrong? Why were we so complacent? And why did we land up in this mess? The whole reason is it's not about, like I said, we are not talking here. We're not sitting here today and talking about the policies or the bureaucracy or the governments, or whether it's a developed nation or whether it's a developed nation, whether it's India or whether it's Australia or America or UK. No, that's not the thing here. We are all human beings, and we are living in this planet Earth, which is the only hospitable planet to the best of our knowledge in the solar system. Okay, and we have wrecked it to such an extent that it is now a best time for the planet to heal itself, because most of the world, throughout the world, we see that the travel ban has been imposed. Okay, so movement is restricted, air traffic is reduced. Okay, even the sea routes, there are no much ships, no passenger ships, no cruise ships. Okay, and there's no much movement of vehicular traffic around. So this is the best opportunity for this planet Earth to recover from the pollution and from the carbon pollution, whatever we had given so much so that it had damaged, it had wrecked us. Okay, this is the time the nature is healing, and this is the while the healing process is going on, it is a time for us to sit and reflect that okay, from here onwards I will come out of this pandemic, what are the things I need to do? How can I contribute? What can I do to reduce the burden on the planet Earth? Okay, these are the things which we need to really reflect, and we really seriously need to think about it. And then, if you had listened carefully, Mrs. Yashoda Harikumar, in her introductory speech, said that like this is not about just celebrating; it is about taking ownership and the responsibility. Okay, I need to take responsibility for my actions. Okay, what have I done? Okay, I'll give you an example. 3 weeks before, I was reading Deccan Herald online, which I do every single day, and I'm not criticizing, or I'm not trying to compare. I read an article saying that like there was a BBMP worker. He, from the last year, he's been suffering. He has lost his eyesight because he went down into the sewer. There was a blocked sewer, and he went down to remove the clutter. And he came in contact with the sewer water, which was contaminated with calcium hypochlorite, that is bleach. And now he lost his eyesight. It's more than 1 year, and the poor fellow is really struggling. Okay, if we all carefully think, who is responsible for that one? There was one gentleman, and he lost his eyesight. Do you think he deserves that? No. Who is responsible? That could be my family, which is there in Bangalore. It could be all of us. We let some waste which was not supposed to go into the drain, and it went in. So this is where our responsibility starts. Okay, today at the end of this lecture, if you can just start beginning with like cleaning your room itself. Okay, you will have some rubbish in your room, something like that. See what is there. Okay, this is the main concept. So it starts now. First, I give you this example of this BBMP incidents, for which the gentleman is still fighting with the system and is still waiting for the compensation, and the government is least bothered. No one is taking up, no one is caring for him. Imagine, like, he has children and he has dependents, and then he's blind, he's sitting at home. Okay, that is so unfortunate, because that is the consequence of an irresponsible action of us. We did that to him. We don't know who let that bleach into the domestic sewerage. Okay, just imagine. So the first thing first is that, like, people, when we were thinking, when we, okay, now we are in lockdown, we are at home. All right, even at home, we do day-to-day activities, and then we generate enough waste. Okay, I'm not saying that like I have come to Australia from the 18 years, it's different here. No, definitely not this thing. Wherever you are, it doesn't matter, like I said, whether in India or Australia or US, this is the basic thing. We need to be careful. Okay, fine, I am disposing some waste now. Okay, what is recyclable, what is not recyclable, what is a medical waste, what is a non-medical waste? Okay, what needs to go where should I dispose this one off? There is plastic. Okay, there is recyclable, there is non-recyclable, there is biodegradable, non-biodegradable, and some are really toxic, which cannot be disposed of. Okay, so these are the things which we really need to know. Okay, this is the thing which we start from our homes. Okay, at the end of this class, like I said, you start from today. You go into your kitchen, right? And then there is waste there. Okay, there is general rubbish, like your mom prepares breakfast or dinner or whatever it is for you, and she cuts some vegetables, and then the vegetable, this thing is okay, the vegetables, whatever it is there, domestic waste is generated. So now it starts from your kitchen. You need to segregate that one. Okay, you might have brought in some vegetables or whatever it is in a plastic bag. Okay, that ends up in the kitchen. So you take out the vegetables, you chop, you do whatever you want to do, you prepare something like that. Okay, and then you start disposing it off. Okay, the plastic bag doesn't go into the general rubbish, this thing where you dump all your cut up vegetables or whatever it is, the waste generated. No, that's not how it is. Think very seriously. It all starts from you. The generation starts from your home, starts from you first. Okay, and then it starts. Okay, now you step out of your home, outside the gates, you see a rubbish lying around there. Okay, what do? You just turn blind eye. I didn't do that one. It's not my responsibility. All right, and then you start your bike or whatever it is, and then you start going towards your school or your college or whatever it is, and you just drive and you just brush it off. You didn't take that action. The waste sits there, it accumulates there. Comes summer, okay, and then mosquitoes come in, and you start dengue and all these things, and then it is all those mosquitoes only which will generate the diseases, this thing, and then you end up in the hospital. So it starts with your neighborhood. It starts with you. Okay, we shouldn't always sit there thinking that, like, it's not my responsibility, the BBMP should come in, and then no, BBMP is doing its job. Okay, it is us. Okay, why did that waste end up there in front of your house? Okay, when there are bins there to be disposed of. Okay, so this day, what we are celebrating today, is the day. I'm giving an example, and I'm repeatedly saying this word, that, like, I'm not comparing. Don't get me wrong, that, like, I'm in Australia, I moved over 18 years. Yes, fine, that's settled. I'm in Australia, that's fine. But the thing is that, like, it's Australia it's a continent considered as an island. Okay, most of it is a desert part. Only you have the fertile place around the peripheries, and they have kept it so pristine here, and they're so fussy about the quarantine, is that, like, they don't want to take a chance. Okay, I'll give you a couple of examples. Okay, there's nothing to be annoyed. Our neighboring country, which is New Zealand here. Okay, you might have all known that, like, Harbhajan Singh, I love him. He's a good cricketer, right? So he ended up here in New Zealand for a test series. These videos are there on the YouTube. You go and Google this thing. Okay, so he was playing some series in Chennai, and then from there, they had a series in New Zealand. They flew here, and he landed up there in the airport. This video is there on the YouTube. Go and see that one. So he was just clearing the customs of the quarantine, this thing, and the quarantine officer there in New Zealand stopped him, saying that, like, Mr. Harbhajan, you have a soil stuck on your cricket shoes. I'm sorry, I can't let this in. You need to go and wash the shoes, or you have to give the shoes. We are going to dispose it off. And then Harbhajan Singh, it's clearly, you can see in that video that he was really agitated. Okay, so it's not about you being a celebrity or a good cricketer or a VIP or whoever it is. Okay, for that quarantine officer, he was worried that, like, if a little amount of soil, obviously he's a sportsman, he's a cricketer. Okay, he wears the shoes and he plays the cricket, and then it's quite obvious that, like, the soil gets stuck to the cricket shoes, this thing. The reason here is that, like, if there are any plant viruses or the bacteria or anything stuck in that this thing, and if they enter into New Zealand, it's a very tiny island. Okay, their plants, their crops, anything, you never know. Those diseases which are not there in that country could be introduced, and it's a loss. So they want to stop that at that place, rather than a plant infection comes here and it destroys the crop, and then they do research on that one, and then they find out a pesticide or whatever it is, this thing, and then rather than doing the damage control, why not you do it in the first place? Stop that one. Okay, and clearly it's seen in that video that, like, Harbhajan Singh at that point was saying that, like, I'm not going to come to this country again, I'm not going to come here, and then he was really agitated, but he was not getting that fact. Okay, it's quite obvious, because, like, like, he was annoyed that he's being treated like that, but there is nothing wrong if you can think. Here now, I'm not criticizing Harbhajan Singh, and I'm not appreciating the quarantine officer who was there in the New Zealander, but no, that's not the thing. The point here is that, like, these are the little things you have to be very, very careful. Okay, you are all the young generation who will now emerge out of this post-COVID situation, and then you take the responsibility. It doesn't matter whether you're a science student, whether you're an art student, or you're a commerce student. It doesn't matter, even if you study history, whatever it is. Remember that you are a human being, okay, and you're living in this planet Earth. Respect, like Mrs. Yashoda said, respect Mother Earth. Take responsibility for your actions. Okay, it starts from you. Don't worry what other person is doing. Oh, everything is happening. Bangalore has become really cluttered. There's so much garbage there. Okay, so much of the rubbish there. This thing, what am I going to make a difference? Even if I start taking the initiative, like, will people listen to me? People might mock. People may make fun of me. No, that's not the point. This is the time. The events like this are the ones which clearly say that, like, raise the awareness. Take the responsibility. I'm repeating these words. Raise the awareness. Take the responsibility. Take the ownership. What is it, taking ownership? Take the ownership. That, like, yeah, yes, you are one individual. Okay, any one student. Say, for example, Mr. Kamaluddin, the student. Yeah, Mr. Kamal, you take the responsibility. You start from today. Okay, all right. Let me think. Okay, let me do whatever I can. Being a human being on this earth, being a responsible citizen. Let me do the right thing. Okay, all right. I'll give you an example. You order something, like, you're all in lockdown now. You do online ordering, and then you order something from the Amazon. Okay, package comes in, and then the delivery guy just delivers it at your door, and it goes away. You open the door, you take the package. All right, you open it. Okay, then you open it's a carton. All right, clearly, if you have a patient see that, like, it is, they would have written down saying that, like, this carton is made from recycled material. Okay, and then there is bubble wrap inside. there's a plastic cover, and then inside that this thing, it will be the material whatever you have ordered, XYZ, whatever it is, this thing. Okay, all right. What do we do in an excitement? This thing, we rip open the package. Okay, take out the bubble wrap, throw it somewhere, the carton somewhere, the plastic somewhere, take out whatever we want, this thing, and then we start using it. Okay, the problem, that's where it starts, this thing. Okay, now once you have opened that package, bubble wrap goes in a different waste. Plastic, paper, let's check out whether it's recycled or not recyclable. If it's not biodegradable, it doesn't go. It goes in a different kind of a waste. And the carton, of course, it can be recycled. So you fold it neatly, and then it goes into a different waste. Okay. Start segregating these things at this thing, at your home, at the first place. Start doing that one. That's it where it starts. It's a small thing what I'm telling, but this is where it starts. Okay. And then you step out. Then you just have a look around in your bedrooms and these things. Okay. Start cleaning your bedroom, something like that. Of course, there will be some things which you will come out and say, am I disposing it in the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Can this be recycled? This cannot be recycled. Should I put this in the general waste? No. These are the things which we really need to think. Not everything goes in one. Oh, there's only one dustbin in my home. Okay, everything goes in that one. Okay, I just tie it up, and then you just give it to that corporation BBMP vehicle which comes in. Throw from your balconies, or go and give it to them, this thing. No, that's not the right thing, because eventually they go in there, and then someone goes there, and then they need to segregate. Okay, so you're making their job hard. Okay, and the second thing is that by irresponsibly, all of us, we keep throwing it. I say it's me as well, because like I said, I took the ownership too. Okay, now we need to be responsible, so we just throw the waste, rubbish waste, and you can see that it's very sickening, and it's very heartening to see that there are children out there in all different parts of the metro cities in India who go on segregating that waste. They should be in the school studying. They shouldn't be doing that one. They get expose themselves to their diseases and all those kind of these things, waste, this thing. That can be clearly avoided, because that waste starts from us. Okay, it begins from our homes. If we had properly dispose those recycled bottles properly in a place where it belongs to, plastic in its place, general rubbish in its place, medicinal waste, whatever is there in this waste, then it will not end up on the streets. It will not end up in your neighborhood. It will not end up in any part of the city, or even in the outskirts of the city. No, that shouldn't be the case. Okay, so what are the consequences of all these kind of things? We are the people who are paying to the hospitals and the doctors by getting these dreaded diseases like dengue. It comes in every summer because of the mosquitoes. Malaria, it comes because of these things. So our actions have resulted in generating all this kind of rubbish, this thing. So it is easy for the mosquitoes to breed. Okay, so why don't we just, how long does it take to think, oh, this is happening, it shouldn't happen, I can avoid that one. Okay, so these are the things which we need to sit and we need to reflect upon. Okay, I'm not saying that the whole of the India is like that, or whole of the Australia is like that, or whole of the world is. No, it's exactly not like that. There are so many states in India, for example, in the late 1990s, before flying off to Saudi Arabia, like they said in my introduction, this thing, I had to go to a travel agent in Kochi. I still remember this thing. Okay, so at that time I was living in Bangalore, and then we went with my friend, and then I flew into Kochi, and I was really impressed the way in the state of Kerala they kept that city, and they're so environmentally conscious. Those people, the Keralites, they call Kerala the God's own country. I was so proud. See, that is, Kerala is not there in Australia. Kerala is not there in America. Kerala is there right in India. Okay, and they're living there. And then I'm just giving an example. Okay, and then they have kept that city so pristine. You can imagine, and all those people, they do farming. All of them, they have their lands, these things, and this thing, and then everything, they're so careful, they're so careful of them, this thing. They kept their state so pristine that they are very proud to say God's own country. Kerala, they call it as God's own country. Yeah. So Mysore, I'm so proud. Okay, in the Swachha Bharata movement, Mysore city, it's so clean, it's so pristine. Bangalore was known to be a garden city in the 70s and the 80s. It was very pristine. Okay, Bangalore was not like how it is right now. in the present times, this thing, okay? Everything was really in a perfect this thing, okay? The growth was regulated, okay? There was no crazy real estate buildings, and everything was controlled, there's so many gardens, so many parks, okay? There was no pollution, there was no urbanization as such, this thing, it was very good, this thing. But suddenly we do not know what happened. I take that responsibility because it was our generation, not you guys, okay? You children are really beautiful, and then you have a bright future, this thing. Somewhere something went wrong that, we don't know what happened to us, this thing. And then we started, losing our sanity, I would say, really, and then started doing all those kind of these things, and then which resulted in the present situations. Lakes were encroached, okay? The construction boom happened in India. Real estate, you all know that, this thing, construction happened, and all right, construction happened, and then people need materials to construct a house, okay? So, and then they wanted sand. Like in the introduction, they said that, like, I came from a very humble background, from a very normal middle class background, this thing. So I was born in a very small town called Gauri Bidnur, which is there in the border of Andhra Pradesh, this thing. It's a very small town. So there is a Pinakini River there. Pinakini River. It's a river, Pinakini River there, this thing. So they scooped out all the sand. I was born there in this thing. So that river is still there. Okay, the river bed is gone. So the soil has been eroded completely because these people, you call so-called the sand mafia, something like that, they scooped out trucks and trucks and trucks of sand from the beautiful pristine river bed, this thing, and then they brought into the Bangalore, this thing. And then today we do not know. You see so many buildings out there in Bangalore now, so many high rises or something. We don't know all that sand which is there from there, or we don't know where it is. So it went on to such an extent that, like, now the authorities woke up very late. They woke up very late, this thing, and then it's gone. It's ruined. All right. So now that river ecosystem, that balance is gone. Can you bring it back now? No. Okay. So now, having said this thing, where does your responsibility as a new generation comes in? Okay. So now you must think that, like, oh, okay, fine. Someone is down. Okay, fine. All right. I have enough money now. Okay. I need a place to live. All right. So just think like this. So before I buy something, buy a building or buy a house, something like that. Is it properly constructed? Have they followed the environmental rules? Have they sourced those materials in a proper way? Okay. Is that building coming up in a lake bed? Is it an encroached land? Okay. All those kind of things, these things. And if you find that is the thing, this thing, don't go for the greed. Okay. No, I'm not going to live there. I'm just going to invest that one because I need to rent something like that. No, don't do these kind of things. Being a new generation, being a generation who is coming up, and then you are the people who got to live in this world after us. Okay, think about it. Now, don't invest your money. So if you don't pump in your money there, those builders, they cannot build that one. Okay, be aware, bring awareness, take ownership. Okay, there are a lot of people in India, who have really. I'll give an example of one, Mr. Santosh Hegde. Okay, he was he's a retired Lokayukta judge. He took on. This is not about politics, or this is not about these things. He took on a sum. Let me not take the name, something like that. He took on. He went head on with some mining mafia in Bellary. Okay, Bellary is such a beautiful city. This thing there, they destroyed because of the illegal mining activity and over mining activity. Okay, they did not stick to the rules and regulation by the government, this thing, and they destroyed the environment to such an extent. In his hundreds of pages of report, he was a Lokayukta judge at that time. He has submitted because he cared for the environment. Okay, Santosh Hegde was only one person, retired gentleman. He's living quietly, he's peaceful, his retired life. But I really salute to him because he went head on. He went head on and he took that one because what he cared was the environment. Okay, in his hundreds of pages of report, he has clearly, given the report, like the devastating impact the mining activity has done on the soil of the Bellary. Okay, the iron ore has now seeped into the water table. The air in Ballari is polluted. Okay, the plants, the flowers, the trees, the fauna is gone. Okay, people with COPD, say for example, they're called chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. People like with respiratory difficulties. Let me not go into detail. Okay, in simple terms, like if someone has an asthma or allergy kind of this thing, they are suffering now because the air is contaminated, the air is polluted. Okay, can you imagine the drinking water, the iron ore and all this thing have seeped into the water table? So you're drinking. Okay, these are causing devastating impact. There's a devastating impact. Okay, but what did we do at that time when Santosh Hegde was lobbying for it, when he was fighting for it, when he was trying to stop this thing? What were we doing, all of us? This thing, we didn't support him. All right, he did his job anyway. He did his best to stop it. Okay, finally the authorities woke up. Whatever happened this thing. Okay, and it stopped for a while. Okay, it stopped for a while, this thing. But did you see where Mr. Santosh Hegde was coming from? He cared for the environment. Okay, in his report, if you go through his report, if it is there in the public domain, go and see the impacts what these mining people had done to the environment. Okay, it just didn't stop there. They transported lots of iron ore from there to the port in Goa and a different country like China. The construction boom was happening. They took advantage of it at a throwaway price. So all those trucks were carrying this thing. It was uncovered load. Okay, so there they again violated the regulation, this thing. And while transporting from Goa, from Bellary all the way to the port in the Goa, throughout that entire zone, this thing like that damaged the whole environment again. So much dust, all that iron ore, it went and deposited on the trees. If you have known the route between Bellary and Goa, this thing, when going to Goa via Hubli, Dharwad, and if you pass through the Goa, this thing, you would know that a certain amount of forest also comes in over there. So there is definitely, there's enough damage which has happened. Okay, this is why did it happen? It's because no one took ownership. Okay, we just used to read in the newspaper and then we brush it off and then we moved on with our life. Now, so with this new generation, I'm not trying to say that after this COVID, once it is done, you go out there on the street, take out the banner card and start fighting. No, that's not the way. Okay, be aware of what is happening. See where you can start from within. From the first thing, from your place, something like that. Be sensible. Okay, be reasonable in whatever you do. Okay, and then get this concept of a sense of ownership. Anything in our day-to-day actions, we do a lot of things in our day-to-day action, and we are very ignorant. That's the biggest point here, is that we're so forgetful, and everything we take it casual, this thing. Okay, now let me get back this thing. Okay, when I 18 years before, when I was born there, same there in India, I was brought up there, something. Even I have done those kind of things. Okay, I might have had a packet of chips, this thing, after eating the chips, I might have thrown because I was not aware. Eat, throw the chip packet on the road, on the footpath, whatever it is, go. Now I cannot do that one, because after I left India, after I traveled abroad, okay, and then after I settling something like that, this thing, now it has become it has become like a habit. Okay, if I drink a can of Coke or something like that, I will be, believe it or not me, anywhere here, this thing, you will not feel like disposing it off. If you can't find a bin, this thing, you will be holding it. You'll be walking around, you're in a shopping mall or wherever this thing, you'll find the nearest bin and then you go and dump. Okay, before dumping that empty can of Coke, okay, there is a waste segregation there. General rubbish, recycle, cans, plastics, glass, something. So you would automatically dispose that one. Now that has become a habit. Okay, it was not there for me 18 years before when I was there in India. Now it has become. Now I don't even think. Okay, so that's how it is. So you are the new generation. Okay, start from today. After the end of the session, start from today. Think, what am I doing? Start from you. It all starts from you. It starts from you. It has to be, because you are the future and you are the generation. Okay, so a lot has happened during this time. So these are the best times that you're in the lockdown now. Sit and reflect on those things. What can be done? What can be done? A lot can be done. A lot can be done. It all starts from you only. Okay, so we have also depleted the resources because of our irresponsibility, because of our selfishness, because we didn't think what we had to do this thing. Everywhere you can see that one. Okay, it's just not happening in India. Everywhere this thing. Okay, let me give you an example. What kind of damage are we doing to the oceans? Like 70% of the earth, as you know, it's common sense. 70% of the earth is full of water. It's ocean, right? We are not even leaving that one. Okay, what is technically is 200 kilometers from the coastal line, from the land. 200 kilometers is every country's international maritime boundary. Okay, so say for example, I'll give an example, very quick example, very brief example. From the Kanyakumari, from the point you stand there, the Kanyakumari, and then 200 kilometers from in that direction is the maritime boundary, means that international border, it belongs to India. Okay, the next there will be another island, or there will be another country, Sri Lanka or whatever it is, they will have a 200 kilometers boundary, this thing. Okay, now there's a common water which is called as international water. It doesn't belong to anyone. Okay, people, what do they do is that, like, okay, when they're doing the fishing, something like that, they will just cross into those international waters. Okay, and they start overfishing it. Okay, now it's a tricky kind of a situation, because technically they are not breaking the law also, but they're overfishing it. They're overfishing it. Then what happens? Obviously, the marine environment, there's a food chain. Okay, so the marine environment, it gets affected because we are overfishing it unnecessarily. Okay, and technically when they cross, like the Sri Lankan fishermen, sometimes they come to Indian borders, then the Indian Coast Guard, they arrest them and then they then send them back. Same thing happens vice versa. Indians, they cross into Sri Lanka in the greed of this thing, and then they get sent back, something like that. So these are the kind of things. So fishing, you can do it, and like Yashoda madam said in the beginning of this introduction, she used the word called sustained fishing, something sustained. Okay, we have to think, okay, all right, you're doing a fishing, this with the fishing trawlers, they go something like that. Every fish different. I'm just giving an example. Okay, you could be a vegetarian, but just I'm giving an example. In the marine environment, every kind of a fish, it has its own breeding season. In a particular season, it breeds. At that time, it is prohibited not to fish during the breeding times, because that's the time when those particular species of the fish will be multiplying. Okay, you can't just go and catch that one. You have to stop that one. Now, if there is a sensible fisherman, he wouldn't do that one. Okay, they have the license, they take the license. Okay, they try to do the illegal job in a legal way only. They have the license, they take the fishing trawlers, they get into the sea, this thing, and who knows, there is nobody to check on them. Okay, they catch whatever it is, and then they will even catch those fish they are not supposed to catch during the breeding season. They bring in, and then we consume. Okay, so as long as like we are consuming it, it's a boom time, it's a business for those people. Okay, so the problem is not with those fishermen, the problem is with us, the consumers. Okay, we should think that like, no, why should I buy this fish? This is the season, this is the breeding season for that fish. I shouldn't buy that one. So we can start that one, discouraging those kind of things. Okay, and here I can give an example that like Australia and New Zealand, Australia and New Zealand being close to Antarctica. We are close to Antarctica here, something like that. So we have every year, the whales, the huge whales, they keep migrating that one. And look at this hypocrisy of even the developed nations. I want to give an example, okay? Because this is the World Environment Day. There are so many peoples there, here in Australia, okay? The so-called environmentalists, they risk the high seas. They take their yachts, they take their small vessels, and they get into the water to stop this Japanese killing those beautiful whales in the name of research. Every year this event happens, and the whales are so beautiful and majestic creatures which are really required for the marine environment. Okay, they're beautiful sea animals, the whales, this thing. Okay, they're huge. These Japanese, they say that like we are doing research, and then they kill them mercilessly. And where do these Japanese do? They do it there in the international waters. Okay, Australia and New Zealand, they have their own, like I said, maritime boundaries. They are their maritime boundaries there. Japan has its maritime boundary, and these people, the whales are the aquatic animals. Okay, they are nature's creatures. Okay, they don't differentiate. They don't know that like they are going in Australian waters only. I can't go into international boundary, and then I cannot take a diversion. it's their environment. It's marine environment it's their world. Okay, they have the freedom to go whatever, do this thing. Okay, they use Earth's magnetic field and they use stars to navigate. So when they get into those international waters, this thing, the Japanese vessels, they go and they kill them in the name of research. They're not doing any research. They eat the whale meat because the whales, they weigh thousands of kgs, and they mercilessly kill those beautiful animals. Okay, so here people now, there's so many Australians, the so-called environmentalists. Okay, they don't have any government aid. They don't do this thing. They risk, like I said, their life because they're rough seas, high seas. It's a different world. Their vessels are normal vessels. They're normal vessels. They take that one. They risk the high seas, high waves. They go and really, literally block those Japanese fishing trawlers. They're much more built and stronger than them. They go and then they really prevent, and then they have stopped now to some extent. Okay. And a diplomatic war went on between Japan and Australia, and then Australia criticized, New Zealand criticized, but the Japanese, they didn't listen. Okay. And that is not acceptable. Okay. But what is the lesson we have learned here? There are people here. Okay. The people of Australia, there are so many environmental people. Okay. They didn't get any aid. Okay. It costs you to take your vessel, okay, put fuel and get into the sea, risking your life and going and blocking those people, the Japanese, this thing. They literally went and then blocked this thing. They went and then, they collided with those ships, this thing. Some of them even jumped onto the board of those Japanese vessels, this thing, and stopped those people from hunting those whales. Okay. And so much happened that at the moment that activity is stopped. Okay. So someone took the ownership here. Someone took the responsibility. It was not the Australian government. Australian government did not send the Australian Navy to stop that one, because like I said, everything was happening. They were very tricky. The Japanese were very tricky. They were doing it in the international waters. I told you in the beginning that like international waters doesn't belong to anyone. Okay, it is not then in anyone's maritime boundary. Look at the way the Japanese were taking advantage of the loopholes in the boundary legal system. Okay, but here someone took the ownership and they stopped it. So you are the generation from here onwards. Okay, think about it and then involve actively. Okay, I'll give you one more example here, like how Mrs. Yashoda Harikumar and Mr. Harikumar, the chairman of this thing, they brought in this concept for you students. Okay, this is an important concept. Okay, here I'm giving you an example. Here in Australia, I got two children, like they said in the introduction, this thing, they go to the schools, this thing. Every year, one day is called up as a cleanup day. Okay, cleanup day in the school. One day is a cleanup day. What do the children do here? This thing, this particular environment. What do they do? This thing. We parents, on the day when their kids are going to the school, just an 1 hour activity. We give them the gloves, okay, and then we give them one garbage bag, small garbage bag in the school bag. They put it, and the teachers take the children, okay, just half 500 to 600 meters around the school area. Generally, Australia is clean. Okay, like I said, please don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing it to India or something like that. I told you that like even in India, there are the clean cities like Mysore, Coimbatore. I give the example. Okay, here they go and try to see if there is anything they can pick it up. One plastic bottle, very hard to find, but still they'll find something. A broken glass. There are lunatics and idiots here in Australia too. So people can get drunk and then they can throw the beer bottle or whatever it is, glass, a broken glass, or people that people everywhere, all kind of people are there everywhere in the world. Okay, so those kind of rubbish is this thing, they have tons kind of a thing, something like that. So they pick up those rubbish, this thing, and then they go and then they dispose it off. So one day of the activity. So what does this teach to the children? It's not only about cleaning the school zone and the school surrounding area. It also puts in the concept in a growing child's mind. You are the future generation who is growing, who is listening to this one. It brings out the concept that like, no, why shouldn't be doing this myself? Someone has done it. It's okay. I have cleaned it. But the thing is that like you saved Mother Earth from one small plastic bag, which takes hundreds of years for it to be degraded. Because plastic, like I said, it's the worst enemy. It's non-biodegradable. You know more than me about that one, because you're all students. You've done the research and you can read. Okay, so you think that one. So one day in this thing. And last week, because this whole month, last week, all the high school year 12, you call it second piece over there, year 12 students, they bunked their class. and they went to the Parliament House in Canberra, where we got our Parliament this thing, and they protested this event what Mrs. Harikumar and Mr. Harikumar have organized, and all you people are attending, is they protested bringing the environmental awareness. Okay, even though there is no pollution here, what they're trying to say, even the students of year 12, they bunked their classes to show it to the politicians here that global warming is real. Environment is a serious concern. Okay, greenhouse gases are a serious issue. Carbon is a serious issue. Okay, we have to really think. The glaciers are melting because of our activity. Okay, it's a blessing in disguise that like all of you are in lockdown now, and the vehicular movement have stopped. The Bengaluru air is recovering, the atmosphere is recovering, there are no vehicular movement, and then the air is clean. You could see, and it's so wonderful if you go onto a roof terrace or something like that, you can see the birds now. Okay, you can breathe the clean air. Okay, you won't feel that that smog or the pollution or all those kind of these things. Okay, so see, and all of us are still surviving that. Even when they are locked down, even if you're in lockdown, you're surviving it. Okay, life is moving on. Life is moving on. But isn't it really wonderful? Because for every little thing, without thinking, okay. Now, between 6 to 10 a.m., I've been told that you're being given a bit of relaxation wherein you go to get your groceries and all those kind of things, something like that. You're going by walk. Isn't that the thing we should be doing it? Why should we just to get a packet of milk, if you're going to take a bike and go and then, pollute that one, waste fuel. So you're consuming the fossil fuel, petrol, which is a fossil fuel, you're consuming it and you're wasting money. Okay. You're generating the carbon. This thing, it's a burden again, this thing. Okay, and then noise pollution unnecessarily. Okay, use those vehicles when you have to. Okay, use public transport. A lot of awareness has come in all those countries. This thing, the people are using now bicycles, what they call as bikes, normal bicycles. What they're using bicycles. Okay, or you don't have to, it's easy to say. You can say that my college is too far and something like that, I can't go. Yeah, use public transport. Use public transport, use your metros. It's easy. You're avoiding it unnecessarily. Use your bikes where you have to. Use your vehicles where you have to. This might apply to even our staff members who are listening. Use your cars or use your bikes when you have to. When you have to, that's it. When you don't have to, you don't have to. Okay? And then, have we taken the noise pollution? Have you really thought about the noise pollution? You might be really interesting. It might be really, really interesting for you to know that here, please don't get me wrong. Once I had to repeatedly tell this one because just because I'm living in Australia doesn't mean that, I'm comparing or something like that. Here in Australia, you will not hear the car horns or the motorbike horns. If you honk, that means someone ahead of you, or if I am driving a vehicle, if I make a mistake, then only someone will honk. Maybe for example, if I missed my lane, or if I have braked suddenly, or if I have cut off someone, or if I've done some traffic rule violation, then only people will really honk you because someone is about to come and collide me. That's the only time you will hear a horn. Otherwise, you will not hear the car horn. I do not know, in the last 18 years, I do not know, I've owned so many different vehicles, and really don't remember when was that. I'm telling you very honestly on this day, I don't remember when was the time I pressed my horn. Okay, but here, when you go out, there's so much noise pollution, and we don't realize that it's not good for your ears. Okay, because our ears are not designed. The nature has not designed our ears to withstand the abuse. There is a limit to it. Lungs are not designed to take up that kind of pollution. No. Okay, that I gave you the example of that person who lost his eyesight. Okay, our eyes are not designed to take the hypochlorite or the bleach solution into the eyes. No, they're not designed like that. Okay, so collectively, if we all take this responsibility, ownership, okay, a little bit of thinking and a little bit of proactiveness. Let me start from today. Let me start from today. Let me start from today. Let me be very thinkful and let me be very thoughtful. I'm disposing of my waste. Okay, then definitely we can all make a change. Remember, I gave you the examples of those, Mr. Santosh Hegde. They are also human beings like us, this thing. Okay, So it all change all starts from one individual only. And historically speaking, also, the late Honorable Mr. Ambedkar, he was one person. He wrote the Constitution. Okay, he brought in the change. History always changes. Okay, our father furniture Mahatma Gandhi was one person. He brought in such a huge change. One person. Okay, so everyone, we are human beings. So Mr. Ambedkar was also a human being. Our father of nation, Honorable Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, was also a human being. So all those people, they thought, let me bring this change. So the change can be brought, it can be implemented. Okay, it all depends on our instincts, the belief in ourselves, belief in the system that we can do it. We can do it together and collectively, because we all are living this as human beings. We are all living on this planet Earth. Like I remember, I told you, it's only one planet which is hospitable. Okay, now it is in a recovery mode because we are in a damage control mode now. It is recovering, it is healing. Post-COVID, when we come out, be thankful and always be thoughtful in every action you take. Okay, lose and remove that concept that I'm not the one, I didn't put that rubbish over there, I don't want to do it. Nah. Okay, even in your school canteen or your school compound, next when post-COVID, when you go in there, if you see one piece of rubbish or one piece of paper there, believe me, honestly, go and pick it up. Go and pick it up and then put it there in the bin. Okay, start your actions like that. This thing, don't think that I did not do it, why should I do it? That's not me, some idiot did it. No, that's not the way. That's not the way. So togetherly, when you get this concept or something like that, togetherly the whole society can easily change, and then we can really make a difference. So the events like this are really essential to realize that these kind of things should be taken seriously. Okay, by this time all of you are in lockdown, you would have realized why. Okay, yes, pandemic was something different, leave it. Okay, it had happened, and then there was first wave, there was second wave, it all happened, this thing. Okay, the main reason for the second wave also is our actions. Pandemic is a separate issue, leave it. Why did the second wave was so vicious? Because of this urbanization. Okay, buildings were constructed. Okay, there was no spacing, congestion, people violated the rules. Okay, and we all collectively as this thing, we become very complacent and we paid the price heavily. Okay, you missed out your classes. Okay, you missed out your social life. So many people have lost their lives, this thing. There's no one to blame rather than to blame ourselves, because these are the consequences of our actions. Okay, we can't blame Mother Earth. Okay, it's a virus. Pandemic is a different thing. Like I said, it's a virus, this thing. Okay, so from here onwards, let us take a oath. Let us take this issue very seriously. Okay, let us be positive. So we are going to make a difference. So a lot lies on the shoulders of you in generation. You being students, this thing, you are the future. Okay, and then the generation is going to come after you. We really look forward to you. Okay, we failed. I honestly acknowledge we failed being elders. This thing, we failed because we there was no awareness like this. There was no social media, there was no webinars, there was no much this thing when we were growing up, something like that. Okay, there was not much of awareness, this thing. So you people are really privileged because you're born with these iPads, laptops, this Zoom, this WhatsApp, this social media, this internet, this technology, everything. India being a Silicon city, you can say that Bangalore is a Silicon city, something like that. So there's all this technology, everything is at your disposal. Okay, and so it's very easy for you people to communicate with each other, bring in the awareness, have a chat, have a think about it, and then we can get over from here onwards. Be responsible for whatever you do, something like that. Okay, educate other people, your friends, your relatives, even if you have to even you can have a chat with your parents, something like that. Bring awareness in this thing. Start with a positive attitude. In the last note, I want to tell you something like that. See, Australia is plagued with one dangerous problem here, because there's too much of the drug abuse here. Okay, people use there are a certain section of people, okay, called intravenous drug users. They inject drugs, which is so wrong. Even those people who do that one, a lot of them, they will have hepatitis and HIV and so many dread infections. Every public toilet here. Every shopping center, every toilet in a park, or everywhere in a public places will have a safe syringe disposable for disposal of the syringes, needles, what those drug addicts use. There is a disposable a container which is being, like screwed and glued to the wall, in the toilet wall, something like that. Even those people are also, they think that, like, okay, first of all, it is wrong. You're not supposed to do and get into those kind of habits. But when they inject something like that, they go in there and then they dispose of those needles, because they are aware that, like, if that needle is found, if someone steps on it, okay, they have the dreaded diseases, this thing, okay, they can infect other people, something like that. So, but even those people are very thoughtful. So, like this, from here onwards, take ownership, take responsibility, okay, think, and then, with a positive mind and proactiveness, we can together make a difference. Definitely, you can put India on the global map. It will be a healthier India. It will be a totally wealthier India, safe India, okay? And it will be a very, very environmentally conscious India, you can say, because everything depends on you people now, okay? Be positive, be careful, take responsibility of actions, and please be sensible. And then anything, don't, like I said, even Yashoda Madam said the word sustain, something like that. Be careful of what you even use also, okay? Do not take anything for granted, okay? Do not overuse anything, okay? Do not abuse nature, okay? And don't take advantage of the privileges which have been given to you. Now, even the privileges, if your parents have given, use them only to your advantage. Don't abuse anything, okay? So I would like to conclude, and it was really, really a pleasure talking to you people. I hope you all will come out of the this lockdown and this pandemic very soon, and focus on your studies, okay? And where the first opportunity comes in, if there is any availability for you people, take the vaccines, this thing. Be COVID wise, adhere to the strict rules, okay? And then be safe, and then be positive. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Irfan sir. So now, dear students, okay, for the questioning hour, so there is a questioning hour time. So I'll hand over the questioning hour sessions to Mr. Santosh. So Santosh.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all. I am Santosh Shree, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Sri Krishna PU and Degree College. So dear students, now I would like to have a query session. So if you have any questions or any queries regarding the webinar topic, so please raise your hand in the chat box. So I will gonna allow you two people ask the question. So now I would like to Miss Vinuta from first year BCom. Please unmute your audio and you can ask the question.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
A very good morning.
Myself, Vinuta, as first BCom, Sri Krishna PU College, sir. I have a question that as we are youth for this country, as we are a youth of this country, what can we take the measures to come over the issues of our environment, sir?
Okay. Yeah, it's a very good question. Who is government? Government is who is government? Government is us. Okay, we are the people. Okay, we elect someone democratically, and then we put someone as a prime minister, someone as a chief minister. It is us. Basically, it is us. Okay, so it's a very good question that you ask something like that. So it's you tomorrow, say for example, like if I contest an election, just to give an example to answer your question, okay, if you make me the prime minister, it is you who have made me the prime minister, and I am also a part of the system, something like that. Okay, so there is not, like I said, don't expect the BBMP or the government or the policies to come and bring in this change and this awareness. It all starts from you. Okay, the governments are there. They have some limitations. They have some limitations to do something. Okay, if we, like I said, in the whole of the talk, we were talking something. If you start from your home, from your room, from today after the end of the class, you start cleaning your room, something like that. You would find definitely so much of the rubbish, something like that. You start from there. Okay, you start from there, and then then you get onto that habit of kind of these things. Okay, yes, youth are there, and then there will be a lot of expectations for you people from the government, something like that. Also understand that, like, who is government? Government is you. Government is me. Government is us. Okay, they have the limitation too. They have the limitation too. Okay, and then obviously globally, a lot of things have happened. Okay, this economically, this pandemic, it's devastating. It has got devastating effect. Okay, governments are really struggling hard to to recover from this economy and all these kind of financial hardships. Okay, so they're doing their best, something like that. So here, rather than expecting too much on them, this thing, something like that, like we ourselves can, like people like you can yourself, like can think what can I do to minimize that one. Okay, don't count too much on the government. Like I said, government is nobody. Government is you. Okay, government is you. Government is me. Okay, like I said, like it is today, Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Yediyurappa is there in this place. Kumaro, that could be you yourself. You can be a minister, you can be MP, MLA, and then you can end up as a chief minister, something like that. So it is us. Okay, so they will do what they are supposed to do. Like I said, even their hands are tied. They have limitations. They have limitations as well. So you, as an young student at this moment, you as an young student, as an youngster, as a youth, as a responsible citizen, okay, as a future, something like that, do not think too much, focus on those things. Okay, the blame game has to stop. Don't blame anyone now. Okay, like I said, this is the time is now. We are already in a damage control mode now. Whatever has happened, finished. It should not repeat. From here on, we need to move on. Okay, we need to move on. Okay, now there are so many issues. Just imagine, put yourself in the government shoes. There are so many issues. Okay, there are so many questions, so many things are there in your mind now. If you write it down and then take it to the Vidhana Saudha and then put them there, this thing, they have no answers for it. They have no answers for it because their hands are tied. What can they do? Tell me. What can they do? There's nothing. Okay, so we had to be a bit reasonable as well. But forget that one. Just focus on what are the brighter sides of this one. Okay, we allowed the Bangalore city. We allowed the mother planet to recover. It had really gone to a severe stage wherein it was almost about to become inhospitable. Now it has really, like, these past 17 months have given a chance to our Mother Earth to breathe again, to survive, to refresh, to revive. Okay, this is the advantage. Okay, even though we have paid, all of us, because of our mistakes, we have paid a heavy price, but at least we have allowed. Okay, we have allowed. Okay, we have abused it, so that's why our planet Earth to recover, something like that. So this, but the positive is that, like, you spent a lot of time at home, this thing, your parents, something like that, reflecting on the on our actions, this thing. Okay, there are so many other positive sides as well. Okay, yes, there was a lot of anxiety, there was a lot of uncertainty. The students, you couldn't write your exams, couldn't go to face-to-face lessons, you couldn't socialize, and it's very hard. I can imagine, like, you're just locked down. Imagine you're contained. Your physical freedom is limited. And so is what is going to happen if I come out of this thing? What is going to be in the future? What is how this new post-COVID world is going to be? All those questions, all those kind of things are there. Everything is there at the moment. So what I would say is that, like, at the moment, okay, I'm just trying to, like, give you a broad outline, this thing, for your answer, this thing. Specifically, to be honest with you, for your straightforward question, even I don't have the answer. For your question, something like, because this is very difficult situation. Even if you ask the same question what you asked me to your parents, they said, daughter, I really don't know what to say. Because we have a situation. There's nothing we can do. So I would say, stop expecting anything from the government. This government is okay. Start to see that you think yourself, that what can I do? Try to find the answer yourself. Think where we went wrong, why we landed ourselves in this position today. Okay, Now, the blame game should stop. Nothing, okay, nothing can be done. The blame game is going to the blame game, and then conspiracy theories, and holding someone responsible. All that should stop. That's not going to do anything other than just distract. Okay, as a student, as a responsible youth, you think what next needs to be done, or you focus on that one.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Miss Vinuta. Now I would like to call up Miss Gargi from 2nd PUC. Please unmute your audio and you can ask the question.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Gargi, 2nd PUC, Shri Krishna PU College.
Yep.
So my question is, since we are living in a competitive world and urbanizing and industrial development is become a necessity for us, is there any way to industrially develop and save nature together? I mean, like, we know how much problem we are facing right now. So is there any possibility to combine both?
Okay. Can I just ask you to, I missed one part. Can I just ask you to repeat your question?
Is there a possibility to industrially develop and urbanize while saving our nature?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So if you had seen, like I was sent an email on this on this topic, it clearly says that like the main aim of the event is to raise awareness, efficient and effective use of technologies. I repeat here, efficient and effective use of technologies for environmental protection and scope for research and development. Yes, it is possible through industrialization only. Okay, I'll give you an example. It is definitely now I'll give you an example. Like now, so much of the construction is happening. Okay, globally. Okay, it is not the same way. You can see in Bengaluru something like that. All these skyscrapers, all these big buildings, something like that. They're using a lot of glass. Okay, so that saved so much of the use of the cement. Okay. Like I said, remember I told you about the sand erosion. There's no need for you to use so much of the sand, something like that. Okay, they're using there's so much of the ventilation. They use a bit of a glass, and then iron they use, something like that. So this is purely a technology which has brought in this thing. So what it is doing is that by using and implementing these technologies, you are at least saving those. Otherwise, traditionally, what do you say? I'm just giving an example for a construction. Traditionally, what do you say? You need the bricks. Okay, for that you need again mud, brick. Okay. So they scoop out all the soil and the clay, everything. That means they go to the river beds and then they destroy that one because you need bricks for it. Okay. And then you need cement. Again, they will use clay. They will go and encourage all those lakes and everything. Because where do you get the clay? You get from the lake bottoms, right? So you go and then, destroy that lake, scoop out all these things. And then, you construct bricks. And then you scoop out all the sand from the river beds, this thing, because you need to construct the house, because these are the essential, these are the building blocks. You need this kind of these things. So now, like your question said, this thing through your research, through your knowledge, through your education, through your industrial this thing, you definitely you can make a lot of difference. A lot is happening, and it is through the research and through the development and through this industrial actions only it is happening. Okay, a lot is happening. Okay, now I'll give you an example how things have changed. For example, okay, like. You could be 17, 18 years old now, this thing. When we were of your age, something like that, we still used to have, these refrigerators and everything at home at that time also. Okay. So the fridges and what we had used to contain a dangerous chemical called CFC, chlorofluorocarbon. Okay. Okay. That this thing is banned now. Okay. So that, how did that came into this thing? Because people, they realize like, oh, these chlorofluorocarbons are very dangerous chemicals which go and deplete the ozone layer. We need ozone layer. Definitely, we need ozone layer. Okay, yeah. I'll just give you an example. Australia has the highest number of skin cancer cases in the world because there's a big ozone hole above Australia. Unfortunately, a big ozone hole. Okay, that's something natural. It's not because of the activities of Australia. It is there. Okay. So direct attack is something the UV rays burn, but a lot of people that this is a very dangerous situation in Australia because you need to have this sun protection films and these creams. Otherwise, people tend to get, and every year hundreds of people that die because of skin cancer. Okay, so that ozone layer, because of that ozone hole, came through all this dangerous chemical global use of this thing, and ultimately it, particularly one part which covers Australia on the space, that created a hole. Okay, now awareness has come in. So industrial technology, industrial revolution has come in, industrial awareness, all this technology has come in. So they are manufacturing the refrigerant which is required in the refrigerator without CFC. They don't use any CFCs. Okay, we used to use lead and mercury in the batteries. That has stopped now. Okay, the new alternatives have come in, because lead poisoning is very dangerous poisoning. So, but you guys are lucky, because your generation is not using that one. We have used it because we didn't know, we were not aware of it. Okay, but this awareness has come through studies only, through research only, this thing. So they have come with an alternative, this thing. Okay, and in our childhood, this thing we used to call what is known as RCC roofing sheets. ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, because you're all born up, you're privileged. When you opened your eyes, you're already there in the urban cities, and then these things. So we spent most of the time in railway quarters, something like that. So ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ railway quarters, that we had Mangaluru tiles as a roof, but in the backyard we used to have these RCC roofing sheets that used to contain a dangerous chemical called as asbestos. That fine particles, when they go into the lungs, they cause what is known as asbestosis. It's a very dangerous disease. It literally spoils your lungs, and it's irreversible. Okay, so those things are banned now. Because awareness ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, awareness ಬಂದಿದೆ, and a lot of this ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿತರ industrial technology ಇದರಿಂದ definitely things can change. Today I will give you a quick example. Elon Musk, you might have heard, the guy who owns this Tesla. Okay, he brought in this concept of this battery technology, something like that, and he's a billionaire. But the thing is, he is brought in. He's just not about the cars, or not into the space race. He's making SpaceX rockets. It's not that one, this thing. Even to power your houses, okay, it's expensive. People can afford, they can use that one. You can use those Tesla batteries to power your houses, like how people use solar panels in the roofs, this thing. So these batteries can be used to power your houses. So you don't need electricity at all. Okay, his batteries are environmental friendly. Okay, they're sourced from lithium, something like that. And then once their life is finished, then there's a way to dispose them off, or it can be recycled again, something like that. And it's pretty environment friendly, and then it's very cost effective. And most important thing is that, like to generate electricity also, again, there are different ways you can generate electricity. Okay, sometimes some people use coal plants to generate electricity, some use some other thing to use, something like that. It is again environmentally, it's not sustainable, and then it's not environmentally friendly, this thing. But we need electricity because it is quite essential, something like that. So yeah, these kind of things. So now, who is Elon Musk? He's of your generation. Okay, something like that. So he brought in. Okay, and in my personal opinion, like, he has made a lot of difference to this planet Earth. Believe me, a lot of difference to the planet Earth. Okay, you are the future generation. Okay, use electric hybrid vehicles for future, this thing. Okay, even the bicycles, what I was talking, you get electric bicycles, something like that. It's fun to ride, but it's very safe. Okay, even cars are becoming, awareness has come in India. Okay, you see those I don't have to tell this, all this Bharat stage 4, stage 3, whatever the engine, something like that, this thing. Okay, emission controlling a strict policy ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, adana, so you don't breach that policy. Go and get your vehicle emission, testing needs to be done. Is it like really polluting, this thing? Take ownership of that one. Okay, so the technology has come into India. Okay, this is once again an industrial progress only. Okay, and so many other things. Even solar concept has come into India. Even India, yes, there are some regulations and then the government policies which are stopping all these electric vehicles to come into India. But eventually, like in your generation, I'm pretty much confident that like a day will come wherein you'll definitely use those vehicles, this thing, and that will be of great relief, because it will not be much pollution, this thing. And the beautiful concept I wanted to tell you, since you asked a good question, is that like, and it is the technology you should be appreciating in Tesla, is that like, yes, it runs on a battery. Okay, it's expensive, but once you buy a Tesla car, the battery is for 15 years. Whatever they use, this thing is for 15 years. if you can keep that vehicle, this thing, okay, that's it. There's no fuel. You're not doing anything. Okay. You just charge your vehicle and then you start driving your vehicle. And believe me, I have done a year ago a test drive on a Tesla. They are very powerful vehicles. You can't even imagine the kind of speed you can pick it up in those vehicles. Don't get me wrong that they're electric vehicles, this thing. And the technology what Elon Musk employed there is that, like, you're on the road, you're accelerating, okay, it's using the battery power. Once you remove your foot from the accelerator, when the car is stopping, it's called regenerative braking technology. It will charge the battery again as soon as the vehicle slows down. See the concept there. This has happened through the technology. This has happened through the research testing. This has happened from your generation. So some brilliant mind, like of your generation, something, he came up with this idea that, like, it's just not the battery. Even when the vehicle is on the road, when you take your foot off your accelerator, when the vehicle is slowing down, this thing, it regenerates this thing and charges the battery again. Okay, so you don't have to go and again and charge your battery. No, see, those kind of things are happening. Yeah. So yes, it is possible. It is possible to revolutionize this world. It is possible to through this research and technology, and then this through this education and all these things. It is possible definitely to reverse back the damage what we have done. We can come up with more innovative ways, more sustainable ways. Okay, everything can be changed. Even our eating habits can be changed. Eating habits can be changed. Okay, and then everything else is possible. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Gagi. Now I would like to call upon Mr. Suvas S. Police Patil from 2nd PUC. Please unmute your audio and you can ask the question.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Very good morning to you.
Sir, my question is that we dump the waste to boxes and they segregate that. After segregating plastic, what are the further things they do on the plastic? How they recycle the plastic?
Very good question. Okay, it's a very good question, this thing. Okay, what generally do is that, like, I do not exactly know what happens in India, but the general is a very good question. Okay, in the plastic, remember, in the plastic also there is a biodegradable plastic and there is non-biodegradable. Non-biodegradable plastic will go into the incinerator. They burn that one, literally burn that one, make ash, and then put it in what is known as landfill. Degradable, biodegradable plastic, if you are really careful enough, this thing, so when you buy out a plastic, like I said, you order something from Amazon, something like that, if a plastic comes in, if it is available in India, I'm not sure this thing, it clearly says there that, like, biodegradable plastic. Biodegradable plastic, for example, accidentally also if it gets disposed, biodegradable plastic accidentally also if it disposed, first of all, it should not end up, it gets disposed also, it would take some time, but it can be degraded through the soil, bacteria, and other things of this. So it's biodegradable. Okay, it's okay. But non-biodegradable, this thing, after they segregate, they will incinerate that one. Adana, they will burn that one, and then they'll make it ash. That goes into the landfill. Yeah. So this ಒಳ್ಳೆ question ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. So next ಇವತ್ತಿಂದ end of this thing. Okay, once you go into your kitchen, okay, kitchen ಅಲ್ಲಿ different waste ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, this plastic na what we do is that, like, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ plastic bag ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ plastic ನಾವು, for example, okay, one packet of quality glucose biscuit open ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. Okay, so there is a top plastic, ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ವೈಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್, ಅದ್ರೊಳಗಡೆ ಬಿಸ್ಕೆಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಒಂದೊಂದೇ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಎಸೆಯಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಯು ಗೋ ಇನ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಬಾತ್ರೂಮ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಶವರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಸೋಪ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಸೋಪ್ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಕಾಟನ್, ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ತೆಗಿತೀರಾ, ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಸೋಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಯು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ನೌ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೂ ವೇಸ್ ದೇರ್. ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕಾಟನ್, ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. Okay, now cotton goes in the recyclable one. Okay, that plastic which was enclosing that soap, this thing is definitely not biodegradable. Okay, that goes into waste. ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನ್ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡಬಲ್ ಬೇಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರೆ, ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಈ ತರ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು BBMP ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಫಿಲ್ ಸೈಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಎ ಬಿಗ್ ಕನ್ವೇಯರ್ ಬೆಲ್ಟ್ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್, like that's how it happens here in all these countries. So I'm sure that, like, I really do not know exactly how that waste system works in India, but I'm sure pretty much this thing ಅವ್ರು ಕನ್ವೇಯರ್ ಬೆಲ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿದಾಗ all these rubbish, these things, these trucks which pick up this thing, land filling sites ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಡಂಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ವೇಯರ್ ಬೆಲ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ವೇಟ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದ ಅಲ್ಯೂಮಿನಿಯಂ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಸೆಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಬಾಟಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಸೆಪರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇಸ್ ರೀಸೈಕ್ಲಬಲ್, okay, and then aluminum cans, they all this thing, the Pepsi, this thing, all this thing, they can be recyclable. Plastic, for example, oil, cooking oil irutala, it comes in a plastic can or whatever it is, thing that plastic can be recyclable. That's all recyclable. You segregate madre, it makes us very easy because you don't have to again produce more and more plastic. All those things can be recycled back once they go into that factory. This thing, when they come out, it's like brand new. You don't even know that it is from a recycled this thing. Even the water is water. We are privileged that like so much of the water is there in India. Okay, you have Kaveri, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then you open the water and then you're drinking. Okay, don't waste even the water. Even the water here in the parks here in Australia, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಆಟ ಆಡಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, that is just rain water, and then this is the recycled water ಅಷ್ಟೇ. They clearly put a sign that like do not drink this water, it's just a recycled water anta, because children they like to play in the park with the water and something like that. So fountains and everything is that like is the same water which gets recycled. Okay, and this water is actually not from the municipality or not from the corporation. This thing is the rain harvested water, rain tanks irutte, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ rain water collect ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ವಾಟರ್ ನ ಆ ಫೌಂಟನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನ ಅವರು ರೀಸೈಕಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು this thing ಅಂತ. They do not use a general drinking water and waste that water because they are very conscious. So these kind of things. So ಈ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ನ ನೀವು ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಇವಾಗ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ you have to from here onwards implement this in life. This thing ಇದು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಬರ್ಡನ್ ನ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ ಈ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. So think what needs to be done. Okay, which waste goes where. Okay, always think that like dispose of the waste in a responsible way. Okay, ಇವಾಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಮುಗಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಶಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಫುಡ್ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ, ಫುಡ್ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ನೋಡಿ ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಊಟ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯುವರ್ ಲಂಚ್ ಆರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್, ದೆನ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಎ ಪೆಪ್ಸಿ ಆರ್ ಎ ಕೋಕ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆರ್ ಅ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಬಾಟಲ್ ಆರ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದೇರ್ ದಟ್ like there are some bins over there, and then I'm pretty much sure that it will be there, something like that. So there will be small holes there saying that like general rubbish goes here, plastic cans go in here. They know they have made it for a reason, so that like after the picking it up this thing, it becomes very easy for the segregation and goes back into this thing, and it makes the planet more healthier. You don't need to produce more aluminum cans, you don't need to produce more plastic cover, you don't need to produce more plastic wooden cartons or something like that. So it will save the environment. Okay, so the carton ಬರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ paper use ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ you will have to cut down the trees. That stops you from cutting down the trees. Okay, that's how it has to be. So I think I answered your question about the plastics, this thing. So plastic
sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Suvar. Now I like to call Miss Aparna TP from second year BCom. Please unmute your audio and you can ask the question.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to you.
I am Aparna. I am really proud to hear your precious words. Sir, my question is, what is the impact of COVID-19 on environment?
COVID-19 impact on the environment. It's a very, very good question. In fact, it's a very good question. I'm just thinking like environment impact has given us a lesson. COVID it's a virus. Okay, the virus the environment again the impact madilla, rather than causing damage to us. The second wave ali hundreds and thousands of people died. Okay, their bodies were literally thrown in the rivers. Okay, unclaimed bodies were thrown in the rivers. Okay, crematoria were full. They were so horrific scenes, and my heart goes out to all those people, like those who lost their family members, something like that. So it is just a virus. It hasn't done anything. It hasn't done anything, but it has sent us a clear message here and a warning here that like ನೇಚರ್ ಜೊತೆ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂತ ಇದಾಗಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನದು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅ ವೈರಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವೆಂಟ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್, ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ an epidemic turned into a pandemic because it's a global event, something like that. This thing environment ಏನು ಅದೇನೋ ಇದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಸಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಸಿದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ವೇವ್ ಬರೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ವೇವ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಪೇ, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ even though like I'm here this thing, but still my family is over there, something. The price we have paid is this urbanization. Okay, ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಗಳು ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, urbanization happened, so many people started living very close. ಇದರಿಂದ ಓಕೆ, ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಯಾರು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಮೊದಲು ನಾನು ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಸೂರು, ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಈಸಿ ಇದು ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಒಂದೊಂದು ಏರಿಯಾನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಕುವೆಂಪು ನಗರ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಸೈಟು, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ರೋಡು, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಪಾರ್ಕು, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಆ ಥರ ಇತ್ತು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Okay, that was the time when the MUDA, Mysore Urban Development Authority, was following up something like that. So they really went on in a methodical way. And then once this urbanization happened, this thing, people start cutting corners. Okay, Bengaluru alli drains alli adra melgade alla manegalu katbidodu, this thing. Okay, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ electricity ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋದು ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ, electric wires, they cross each other, this thing, right in front of this thing, that generate electromagnetic waves which are really dangerous, which can cause you brain cancer and those kind of things. Okay, and then lakes, beautiful lakes alla encroach ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮನೆಗಳು ಕಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಓಕೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಎಲ್ಲಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿಗಲ್ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್. 1 ಫ್ಲೋರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 2 ಫ್ಲೋರ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಇದ್ರೆ 6 ಫ್ಲೋರ್ ಕಟ್ಬಿಡೋದು. ಕಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಜನರೇಟೆಡ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ those construction, these things. The drainage has to go, the water supply has to come, something like that. So, and then when the rains and all those kinds of these things, they came in this thing, then people start complaining, oh, water is flooding, BBMP is not doing the job. Don't blame the BBMP, don't blame the government, because we are the people, we are the people. So as such, this pandemic has not done anything to the environment, but it has given us a lesson that like we messed up with the nature. This pandemic has just taught us a lesson that like we broke the rules, now you are paying the price, I would say. Okay, pandemic, it's a virus hasn't done anything to the environment. Virus has not done anything to the environment. But in a different context, if I want to answer your question, something like that, we again, I don't know the real theory, because there are various theories about this origin of the corona. Some say it came from the bat, some say it's a lab generated, whatever it is. Even if it has come from the bats, first thing rule, why did people have to eat bat, you tell me? Is it a thing which can be eaten? But there are, if you're a non-vegetarian, you have so many other things to eat. Why did you eat chicken? Why do you want to eat bat? Okay, so if it has come from the bat, this thing, you broke that one. Okay, and then that means you fiddled with the nature. Bats are there, they're beautiful creatures, they play their role in the environment, this thing. Okay, say for example, if it has come from the bat, means we messed with the nature, so we paid the price. Okay, even if it's a lab generated or whatever it is, we don't know for the truth, this thing. Okay, because we are all science community people, so we are evidence based factor, because conspiracy theories, nonsense things, being students, this thing, or being people of the science background, this thing, we can't believe in that one. So even if they had, it's a lab generated, it means you messed with the nature. Okay, the genetic sequencing you alter madidra, then it went out of control, something like that. Okay, so this pandemic has not done anything to the environment, but our actions in the ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು expect ಮಾಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. Now the kind of lifestyle and the kind of this thing we were leading, because of our carelessness, because of our lack of care for the environment, awareness ilde ನಾವು ಒಂಥರ like animals, this thing, mechanically we were living this thing. ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ, ನಾನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ನಾನಲ್ಲಿ I don't care whether like said in the previous talk, I don't care even if I'm not living there, I want to construct something, I want to invest in my property, I want to give it for rent, something like that. ಈ ತರ actions ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅದರಿಂದ heavy price we paid, because it's congestion. This is congestion. The only thing, like I said, since you asked this thing, is that the only way out now is be COVID conscious, be aware once you come out of this pandemic, this thing, be COVID wise, adhere to your rules, respect the nature, keep social distancing, get vaccinated wherever it is possible, and then move on. Don't repeat those mistakes what we have done. Don't repeat those mistakes what we have done. That's it. So COVID as such has not done anything to the environment, but our actions were waiting for some consequences, for some punishment that the COVID has given, I can say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Aparna. Now I would like to call upon Mr. Kamaluddin, third year BCom. Please unmute your audio and you can ask the question.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, Kamaluddin. Yeah.
Sir, how can environmental education
play a role, an important role in education protection, sir? You have told that the green, what is that? Green technologies help to everyone. So I need answers, sir, in Kannada, sir.
Okay, can you repeat your question? Sorry, I missed your question.
How can environmental play an important role in environmental protection?
Okay. You see, the whole talk we had, Kamaluddin, was about caring for the environment, alwa. We have to care for the environment, tane? All the talk we had was about environmental this thing. Okay, I just want you to repeat your question one more time because
Sir, Irfan sir, the question what he asked is, how can environmental education, so whatever the environmental education, it has been implemented in a graduation level, so that is environmental microbiology or technology related environment and all, how can it is helpful to protect or to conserve the environment as a student? So what they are going to learn through the technology?
Okay, that makes sense to me. Sorry, this makes sense. Yes. Okay. Nodi, environmental the syllabus what they frame, like the academic people, like like Mr. Shishudha Kumar, Hari Kumar, this thing, or the people in the university, when they frame the syllabus, they just don't frame it for you to complete your graduation or your post graduation. This thing, what needs to you study there basically to understand first the environment, and then other ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಗೆ ನೀವು further environment more friendly environmental for friendly things will come into the day-to-day use, and then how you can reduce the harmful effects. Okay, some of the effects are irreversible. I told you, like some of the effects are irreversible. Like remember I told you about that iron ore which has seeped into the water table in Ballari. You just can't go and reverse it overnight. Because tons and tons and tons of this thing, iron ore, has seeped into the water table, and people they have no choice but to drink that water. Okay, the air is polluted to such an extent that like people having all those chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, they have no choice. Okay, all the surrounding forests and everything like that, the trees, everything like that, the dust of few millimeter thick of that iron ore, this thing is lying on this thing. Can you go and take a vacuum cleaner and clean that one? No, it cannot be done. But now, after you say, for example, being a student, when you study all those kind of things in your syllabus, and then whatever they frame the syllabus, something like that, they will bring in those things, and then also that course and that study will also give you an opportunity to use your brains and think that like, okay, fine, let me do something, like for example, let me do something, let me come out with an idea. It can definitely come out from people like you, all of you people, or any one of you, or some of you, or all of you, to see how can I just like try to reverse the damage whichever has happened to the best of my ability, for that, definitely, yeah. It can be done. So for this one only, this education is required. Okay, this is required. Okay, wherein you can study that one, whatever the kind of questions you are asking me now, that like you can ask your lecturers or your research heads or those kind of these things. They will guide you to the right spot. They will guide you to the right way. They'll show you the right channel, where you can do this thing. So definitely, yeah, it can be done. So it is possible through. It's a very good question. It is possible through the education only. It is possible through the research facilities only. Remember, I told you and I gave you the example of Tesla, this thing. So this lithium-ion battery concept was definitely an idea from someone who came up with this one, saying that like, why not? Why not? Let us bring up something to the environment which is fun, which is like which has power, which is useful, which is environmental friendly, and and it's really a cost effective as well. It saves a lot. It's not about saving the petrol. You're saving the environment because there are no toxic exhausts. Okay, and there is no carbon emissions. Carbon emission illa anta helidre glaciers melt agalla. Glaciers melt agilla anta helidre sea levels rise agalla. Sea levels rise agilla anta helidre sea levels rise agilla anta helidre there are so many islands, they remain there, this thing. Okay, otherwise this global warming is a serious issue. Sea levels rise adre they'll like once the sea levels rise, something like that, esto islands idella. When you see the old political map, some of the islands have disappeared. So when this tsunamis comes, what do you think happens? This thing, it just like literally lot of the previous tsunami, when it happened, whatever that happened in the big tsunami which came in, which affected, a lot of small islands in Maldives and other things, they have disappeared forever. Okay, that's again once again because of our actions, So yes, it can be done. Kamaluddin, your question is right, and it is definitely possible through the research, and then through thinking, and then through studying, and then consulting, and yeah, and like you people can also do what is known as a brainstorming session during your lunch times in your canteens and schools, something like that. This thing, start interacting with each other, and this form what is known as a brainstorming sessions. Okay, hey, let me come out with an idea, something like. You don't have to be a commerce student, or you don't have to be a science student, you don't have to be an art student, you don't have to be in a particular discipline student, but that only second PUC biology or chemistry, physics student only has to do it. We all leave, a person who is doing a commerce can come out with a mathematical modeling. For example, how do you predict this second wave, third wave, everything? It's all mathematical modeling. They are not scientists, this thing. They are people who have some statistics background. So they do, they take the data from this thing, the epidemiologists, and then they come out with a mathematical modeling, and then they give you a model saying that like this might come during this time, be aware. And then they advise to the government. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kamaluddin. Now I like to call Mr. Preetham from Tadia Beckham. Please unmute your audio and you can ask the question.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Very good morning.
My question is how to increase the effectiveness of environmental protection program?
Very good question. How to increase the effectiveness of the environmental programs? Yeah, having more and more participating in more and more events like this, bringing in the awareness with your neighbors, with your families, with your friends, this thing, with your other college students, this thing. ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಒಂದು ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, second PUC students, year 2 students here, this thing, they bunked their class for one day for a good cause. They went and then took it to the parliament to bring it to the attention of these things. They are students, they are year 12 students. So ನೀವು ಡಿಗ್ರಿಲಿ ಇದ್ರ some of them this ಎಲ್ಲ, and awareness ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೋಕಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ, ಈವನ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ನೇಬರ್ಹುಡ್, ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ನೇಬರ್ಹುಡ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಟೀಮ್ ತರ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಯೂತ್ ಇರ್ತೀರಲ್ಲ, ಟೀಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕ ಏರಿಯಾ ಟೇಕ್ ಓನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲೀನಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಅವಾಯ್ಡ್ ದೋಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೇಫ್ ನೇಬರ್ಹುಡ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ. ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕ ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ, ಯಾವ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಬರ್ಬರ್ ಇರಲಿ, ಯಾವ kind of a socio-economic background in ನೀವು ಬಂದಿರಲಿ, ಏನಾರ ಇರಲಿ, awareness is all about interacting and then meeting with likely minded kind of people, this thing, being patient. Once or twice people may not take your this thing seriously, ಅವ್ರು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಕನ್ವಿನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವು ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ತರ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, and ask your especially like your principal and your director to like takes to some excursions and go towards this thing. Okay, ಒಂದು ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಒಂದು ಕೇಳಿ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್, ನೀವು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೇಳಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಕೇಳಿ, ಒಂದು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಗೋ ಟು ಒಂದು ಡೈರಿ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗಾಗಲಿ, ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮಾ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಗಾಗಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡಿ, how do they treat the industrial effluents and how do they treat the weight, something like that. I'll ask them. Okay, ಆ ಥರ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕ ನೋಡಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ಈಸ್ ದ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಂಗ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪೋಸ್ಡ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ನೇಬರ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ. Okay, start forming your own social groups, social circles, something like that, this thing, and then bring up those kind of these things. You can effectively control that one, and it is all possible through, it starts with you, starts with me first, this thing, and then get likely minded kind of people, something like that, this thing, and then seek out help and guidance from your elders and your academic personnel, your teachers, your professors, your lecturers, something like that, this thing. It is possible. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Preetham. Now I like to call Mr. Nagabhushan from first year BCom. Please unmute your audio and you can ask the question.
Hi, sir. Hello.
Hi.
So nowadays they are cutting trees and they're building roads and they're building apartments. It is our fault or an fault of government. And in this COVID situation, their issue of oxygen. So it is fault of us or it is fault of government?
Very good this thing. Okay, it's a very good question, this thing. Like I said, Nodi, previously there was a other girl who had asked the same question, this thing. We have to stop now about blaming the government. Okay, trees first of all cut ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೀ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಡ್ನಿಲಿ. Okay, close to the place where I work, and then there is a Sydney cricket ground. You might have seen if you are a cricket watcher. Sydney cricket ground hatra they wanted to put a tram line. There was an old tree. Now tree was in such a position that like if you want to put the tram line, a tree na you chop ಮಾಡಲೇ ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. Okay, because a tram line is a public transport, this thing that will reduce the vehicular movement, this thing. ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದ್ರ ಮೈನಸ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು. ನೀವು ನಂಬಲ್ಲ, ಐ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ದೇ 3 months ದಿಸ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ನಂಬಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ನಗಬೇಡಿ. ಸಮ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಲೈಕ್ ಅ ಟ್ರೀನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂಥರ ಲೈಕ್ ಅ ಟ್ರೀ ಹೌಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟೆಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಸಮ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ the authorities were there to chop up the tree. They had come with all those chopping machines and everything like that, this thing. But these people, like they had blocked it, this thing. So they went to such an extent because they really cared. For them, it doesn't matter. So one tree, and the tree was pretty big and it was pretty old. You know that like some of the trees can be like, hundreds of years, trees over. So they were so much concerned, as if like, someone is chopping off another person's organ. They cared so much, something like that, this thing. Ivaga ಈ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಇನ್ಫ್ರಾಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ sometimes you have to pay the price, because sometimes those trees could be blocking the road or widening of the road, something they do it. Okay, no, that's not a big deal. The thing is that like, sorry, if it has to be done, then it has to be done. Adra badalu, rather than you me and being complaining this thing, once the 10 you take 10 tree saplings and then plant somewhere there in your neighborhood. Okay, that is the compensation for it, I would say, compensation for it. And then this oxygen issue, what I understand that I'm not an expert on that one, and I don't want to comment too much on the health infrastructure system in India or something like that. Oxygen, this thing, whatever happened was that's a different story. Okay, even if there are a lot of plants were there also, that oxygen, the medical oxygen is a different issue. If there are more plants there, this thing, as you know that like being a science student, the photosynthesis ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ, plants ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, then generates the more this thing. So it's pleasant to have this thing, because oxygen levels are certainly needed, this thing. But ಜಾಸ್ತಿ plants ಇದ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, the one who's got a active COVID infection and his lungs respiration, this thing is activity is compromised and then breathing that freely available or nature oxygen is not going to help you, this thing, because you need to definitely put the person on the ventilator or on the oxygen, so that like ventilation to the lungs is very much important. Okay, that is not possible through because now on the term culture, what is called as a room air, whatever people you are breathing at the moment, what I'm breathing at the moment is called room air anta. So this is the oxygen which is naturally there in the atmosphere, and the room air na breathe martivi. That's because at the moment you are COVID free, I'm COVID free, and then we don't have any other respiratory illnesses. But when the respiratory function is compromised on this coronavirus, as you know that like it goes and it gets into your lungs, something like that, then the breathing process is compromised. So to ventilate your lungs, you have no other choice but to put you on the oxygen cylinder. In the worst case scenario, even oxygen cylinder nimge kottu oxygen kottru, it will not be able to be sufficient. So then you have to like literally put you on the ventilator so that oxygen can go inside your lungs. Okay, so government policies ಏನಾರು ಇರಲಿ, unfortunately our trees cut ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. What the best you can do is that like you plant some 10 trees, okay, 10 tree saplings ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಹಾಕಿ, and think that like all right, whatever they did, because maybe it was required, infrastructure essential ಇರ್ಬೋದೇನೋ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. Also don't get it wrong that like who is government? Like I said, government is you and me. They are not ruthless. Okay, ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ, ಟ್ರೀ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡೋರ್ಗು ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. The environmental minister who is there in the Mr. Irfan's cabinet, they are also aware. Mr. Chief Minister is also aware. ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಏನು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗಲ್ಲ to go and chop the tree and and then do something whatever is required ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಏನು ಇದಿರಲ್ಲ. they have no choice. Sometimes, like you want to like widen, or you want to the metro line to go through, or something might have prompted them to do that one which was there. Eventually, if it had to be done, means it's okay, no big deal, because we store last ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜನರೇಷನ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ one tree ಹೋದ್ರೇನೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ to compensate that one, you do one thing, like you take 10 tree saplings and then plant in your area, okay, or put on your rooftop, okay, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. B.S. Nagabhushan. So thank you, Irfan sir, for the clarification of the doubt.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sir,
Over
one more
to
question.
You, Yashoda ma'am.
Sir, one more
Over
question,
to you,
sir.
Yashoda ma'am.
Sir. Santosh sir. So dear students,
sir.
please mute yourself. Sir, unmute. Mute yourself now, because already time is moving up. So actually, I think in 1999, after a long time, maybe after 21 years, maybe after this many years, maybe for one and a half hour, I'm able to listen your voice. I remember we discussed more than 6 hours.
It's an honor, and then it's an extremely privilege. And
I know.
And in all honesty, Yashoda, in all honesty, you have taken up a big responsibility, like, students, right? This is a very noble profession you're into. You're educating someone, and then Harikumar is also, although he's a nice human being, he's into philanthropy now. I really appreciate that one. And then that's a really noble cause, this thing. And then this is one of the most noblest profession, that is academic profession, educating people. Your societyಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ವಿಥೌಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಇದರಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ? Like for example, like like you both could have been gone into some other kind of a business also, or this thing, but you chose this thing because this is the platform where you are laying for the future generation. Okay, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಎಜುಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ moral support ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, so that like they don't go into this thing, awareness ತರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಎಜುಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಸ್ ನೀವು this is where they are coming out of your institution, which is really an honor. It is really an honor because you also have a lovely son, a beautiful boy, this thing. Okay, he's the next future generation, this thing as well. And then he's watching closely what his parents are doing. Okay, and then just imagine how lucky and how privileged he is, and then like the kind of upbringing he's having, and then he's being surrounded by all these kind of these things, and and then it's needless to say that like he's going to be a wonderful youngster who will carry on your legacy. Even of your help for this thing, I really appreciate. Okay, I really appreciate. And nanige you thought of me, and you and Harikumar thought of me, so that like to bring in this thing. And then there are beautiful people. All the students are I'm so happy to see them. This thing, everyone has a potential. That's what the God and the nature has given. Every single individual there has a potential, and they are the future, and every one of them will be something. And and then they'll come out, and then they will make a significant contribution to this society and to the world we are living in, and they will make us proud. Not to forget that this has all happened because people like you and Mr. Harikumar, thought of these things, and then and then you led the platform, and then you're educating them. Okay, that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing.
Thank you, Irfan. So because I know you speak very well. I know very well. Because last we used to have a discussion for more than 6 hours. I remember more than 10 hours we discussed throughout the night. Okay. Still I remember. So even I thought of let our students make use of your session. So because
in the future another about like not now, like apparently Harikumar is having some session with our beloved ex-classmate, and then Professor Joshi some anything related to subject athwa more thing for the students, like like further career concepts bagge, like if they want to study in abroad, or any questions they have, or anything to do this thing, anything you feel like I can be a part, and then I can be a part of your this thing, so which would really benefit anyone, whatever I have learned in life. And we'll be very humble to join, at the drop of a hat. If you think there's anything I can contribute, definitely I will contribute, because
Thanks a lot.
they're all lovely children. They're all beautiful children. They're lovely children who a lot of potential there. It's just that I can. It's not just the oral words. Psychologically, what it has done to every people, all of you, including the teachers, teaching faculty, admin staff, love every individual who is living there in India. This devastating effect it has had, something like that. But the most important thing is the resilience, which is all of you have shown today, including you, Mr. Harikumar, your staff, your students. Resilience is butto, optimism idala, how optimistic your people are, and then how resilient you are, that like now we will get through this, we will get over it, and then we will move on. And that spirit idala, that is the most important thing. That hope is the one on which you can move on further. None of you have gone back. None of you are not depressed. You're all actively 10 o'clock. You said, even before time only, I observed that everybody had logged in. They were sincerely, so patiently, and so the discipline, they listen to this one. And then, and some of them ask very good questions, something like that. They're young brains, they're young childs at the moment. Unfortunately, these kind of, these things are nodbardittu. What all they have undergone, what all they have seen, definitely know that it has affected their parents, their relatives. Some might have unfortunately lost their beloved ones, their friendly ones, or the movement of freedom stop away to. They couldn't attend the face-to-face classes. They couldn't interact with their teachers, something, but still the children are smiling. This is the thing, because historically also, during the biblical time also, these pandemics have come. The earth has healed, the nature has healed. Resilience is the most important thing. Human beings adapt ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, human beings evolve ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, human beings will come out of it. And then when we come out of this post-COVID, we will be much more stronger. We will be much more stronger, which will be much more positive, this thing. And we will definitely, now we have learned so much that we will not repeat those mistakes, what we have done. And it's going to be, I guarantee you that this youth is going to make this planet a better place to live, a happier place to live. Yeah. And they will now care for it, because since we have paid heavy price, they will never make this mistake again. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. So just another one for 5 to 6 minutes. So Harikumar wants to give a speech. So before the closing ceremony, after the closing speech, so I will hand over to Avinash. Avinash. Mr. Avinash,
okay.
Please.
Ma'am. Okay.
Hand over the next session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please take care of the next
session.
Thank
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon, one and all. It is an honor to extend a vote of thanks on the occasion of World Environmental Day webinar organized by our esteemed organization, Sri Krishna PU and Degree College. I am very heartily gratitude to our honorable and respected chief guest, Mr. GM Irfan, for adoring his necessary work and sharing his valuable educative information about the environment. Sir, I hope all the participants of this meeting are well inspired by your thought-provoking words and highly sparking words. Thank you so much, sir. A big thanks to our director, Dr. Harikumar, to arrange this webinar, which provides vast knowledge on environment and our responsibility towards protection, conservation of environment and sustainability. Thank you, sir. I want to extend my generous thanks to our principal, madam. Thank you, madam. I thank to my colleagues and my dear students and parents for your active participation and cooperation. Thanks to one and all. Thank you. I'm over to you.
Thank you, Avinash. Thanks for your wonderful vote of thanks. Now I'd like to hand over the next session to Dr. Harikumar.
Yeah, I can hear you, Hari. Hari.
I do feel that the staff and
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Amar sir.
ಹಾ ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ಇರ್ಫಾನ್ ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್.
Okay. See, this is our first webinar. I would like to thank you all for your very disciplined way of attending the meeting. So excellent. I'm very happy to say that our students were so disciplined in this 2-hour session. Good. So because in the next future, okay, in the next upcoming weeks, so we will have some more webinars which are mainly towards the skill development activity, as well as the communication skill development activity, and how we could grab the opportunities in other countries, how to develop what we say that self-confidence, okay, how to develop the communication skill and all. So apart from it, even we wanted to go for a Indian knowledge about the Indian Constitution. So like this, so many webinars we wanted to organize. So after two or three sessions, we would like to handle this webinar by the degree students, because so far we are handling this webinars. So we lecturers and principal is involved in handling the webinar. Now today you observed how to handle this webinar and all, how to handle the each and every sequence in a right way. So next upcoming webinars should be handled by the degree students. Okay, you should get trained up to host the program, okay, to control the entire program. You understood what we are saying?
Yes.
ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ ಸರ್?
ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
Now, so what I said to you, the degree students has to host the program from next webinar. Okay. Now I hope so you all observed the communication skill. So you have to improve with your communication. So he has studied in Kannada medium. ಸೊ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಇಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಓದಕ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಡನ್ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಹಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ. ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಶನ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಇಂದ ಓದ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಬಿಡಿ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ? ಸೊ ನೀವು ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದನ್ನ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅ ಬ್ಯಾರಿಯರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯುವರ್ communication. You understood? So this is what our sincere request for you to improvise as well as improve your communication skill. Okay, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಮಕ್ಕಳೇ? ಸೊ ಯಾವುದೇ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು